Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Mary Elizabeth's Friday Hour.
I was just telling Mary Elizabeth that I was telling Mary Elizabeth that there was a show called the Dandy Beagle and Superdog Show, and every time they said, "And now it's Dandy Beagle and Superdog," and they'd show it as a puppet dog, and they showed Dandy Beagle and go, maybe I should start every show like that.
Yeah.
And I know that that's going to be the what do you call it, the thumbnail for this show, which is the 91st show. Yes,
We're on our 91st show.
we're in our 10th we're in our 10th decalogue.
Yeah.
We just started 91, and then by turning 51, I'm starting my second half century.
Yeah.
So anyway, so yeah, and I was thinking, you know what I really hate? I really hate being accused of things I didn't do.
No, me
Don't
too.
you? I don't know. About when I was a kid, I was always, always sent to the office because I didn't have a very honest face. I think I have an honest face now, but certainly when you're a kid, you're always a real suspicious looking. Some kids, I think there are some certain children with such suspicious faces that they get in trouble more even when they're innocent. I used to know this kid with a very, honest looking face, but he was a shoplifter. And I think he eventually got arrested, stopped by the store for shoplifting. And
Yeah.
it's all a thrill to kids to shoplift. And I wouldn't, but I think my mom got wind of the fact that he was shoplifting when I was there,
Yeah.
and because I had no scruples or morals at 10 years old, I
Mhm.
didn't want to get him in trouble or anything like that.
Yeah.
But what he was doing was wrong. And so what happened was, uh, yeah, mom kind of wizened me up. She says, I'm not saying you have a suspicious looking face, Kevin, but he has a much more honest face than you. And all he has to do is, if he gets caught, he can just point to you and said, "He did it, not me." And then the hammer would come down on me. So then I not only severed my ties with this kid, but I also worked on my face to get him more honest looking. So anyway, so I was always, you always, I remember like anything that happened in the house, any teasing of sisters, there's anything, certain, there's comes a point where you have to outgrow, you know, uh, bad behavior. You don't can't have the behavior you had as children. There's some people that they're grown up. They get old, but they don't grow up.
Yeah.
That's probably the best excuse of that. And so I'm constantly, worried about even today being accused of things that anyone could make up and that haven't done. So, so you have, so every once in a while, I have to answer people, friends of mine, who say, "So and so said something about you." So I don't give a damn what so and so says about me.
I know.
In fact, he's the villain, not me.
Yeah.
I'm the one who tells the truth all the time.
That's right. Yeah.
I once, I'm everyone knows this. I'm a underwriter, insurance underwriter, and right, 'cause, my law background and everything. That's what pays for all this largesse. So anyway, I was accused, and this happens a lot in the insurance business. You get accused of fabricating stuff, making stuff up, which is wrong because the insurance industry is one that depends on trust. It depends on honesty and everything. And I eventually had to leave this job because I was accused of, and I had that job a good while, like about 5, 10 years, five, no, five, but about 8 years. Okay. And what happened was that they said things are not working out right. We're going to check that policy you wrote, and then I underwrote, and then they said, and I had to sweat through it because I make a mistake? What did I do wrong and everything? And then course, they said, "Oh, everything's fine. You did fine. It was oversight on our part." Okay. Month later, same thing happened, and now I'm angry. And I said, "You've taken all the enthusiasm out of working for this company." Because I was actually like working there. I worked there for like 8 years. So I went to another company that treated me better. So what happened was, and of course the same thing happened. "Oh, Kevin, I got good news for you. You were exonerated."
Yeah.
I said, "No," and I said, "Oh gosh." I said I'm leaving this job, and they said, "Why?" Because I'm getting offers from other places because of my honesty. And the other thing is that you could, if you want to fire me, you could fire me for laziness because I'm a pretty lazy guy. You could fire me for incompetence because I could be incompetent here, and in a rare instance I can be incompetent.
Yeah.
But please do not fire me or try to get rid of me because of dishonesty, because I am the most moral person, ethical person you'll ever meet. So there you go. I took a class. No, not the class. I actually had to take a test. This is at the second job I had in insurance. I mean, the job I had after this one, and we all had to take some of these ethical, moral tests. What would you do in this situation? What would you do in this situation? Would you write a little essay on what your views are on this thing? So then, when I finished doing it, and we all finished doing it, they called. I mean, maybe 2 days later, they called me into the boss's office. I said, "Oh gosh, did I fail this miserably?" And I was expecting the worst. They were going to fire me or something. And they said, "You know that ethical test you took?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Of all the people in this office, you got the highest score. You are truly an ethical person." And I said, "What makes you so ethical?" And I said, or know right from wrong. And I said, "Good parenting." Like a lot of little kids, you make mistakes, but then you try to do it. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way. Some of the most honest people are people who spent time in jail, like myself, here and there. But that's only for drunken behavior. Let's see. Which I don't drink anymore, which is great. I was drinking coffee now. So boring. I used to be an exciting guy, and now I'm a big bore. I used to be a lot of fun. Anyway, I'm a dull guy. Anyway, so so let me tell you something. Speaking of good parenting, you're gonna love this. I my uh, you have a crush on someone in high school or in college or something, and this is probably around college time. And I was really into music. I was really into on the radio station. So I knew a lot about music. I knew songs people did not know. I still do. I mean, you can tell, and you do too, yeah. So I so so I made I did this a lot in the day. I would make a cassette tape, or when technology got better, there's a disc. They call them uh, what are those cassette tapes you make of all with all your favorite songs you give to somebody? I forget what they're called. But I would make those, and people loved them. All right, and there was this one girl I really liked, and I gave her a tape of about 10 songs I like. No, it was a CD, 10 songs I like about that time. And I said after she heard them, probably a couple of days later, I said, "Well, how did you like those songs? I think that she would love them." She said, "Those were the worst songs I've ever heard in my life. What type of music do you listen to? All this long hair stuff, and all this jazz, and all this country music, everything." So I was very, this never happened to me. Usually people like what I was doing.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I got to tell you something else that happened. I once left my record collection for someone. I was going on a trip,
Yeah.
and I left it for this older guy. And I said, "Listen, just play all the records you want, make cassette tapes of them, and enjoy them." And when I got back, his wife told me he hated almost every one of your albums. I said, you have. He said, I don't have your taste in music. I have my taste in music. They're not your records to buy. You just listened to them and hated them, so that's fine. If there was one, I guess he expected because I was on the radio that I would have his taste in music. So anyway, so I got so bent out of shape that this girl didn't like the CD. So I asked. So my dad says, I told my dad about this. I'm just like 20 years old or so, and he said that is. What do you care whether she likes your music or not? It's not her It's not her taste in music. I said, next time you're at her place, look at her CD collection and see what she does like. Now, if she really liked you, Kevin, you know what she would have said?
Yeah.
She would have said, "Oh, well, thank you so much. That was very sweet of you to make that kiss," and then never play it again.
Yeah.
But because she probably didn't like you at all, that was an excuse to insult you. You
Yeah.
know, and if I played, for example, if I played like say something someone doesn't like the Bee Gees or something, or Barbara Streisand or something. You could say you don't like Barbara Streisand, but I do like the way we were. She could have said that, even though I probably played something that Barbara Streisand is not famous for on there because she's already heard the way we were.
Yeah.
But she could have said, "Oh, Barbara, that was nice, Barbara Streisand." And, so my dad said, next time you go to her place, look at her CD collection. Everyone. And then I looked at her CD collection, and it was all like Michael Bublé and Barbara Streisand, and what else? It was the Muppet Show. Who else was it? It was Michael Bolton. You know, they're all right, but they're not top of my list. And so then I said, yeah, yeah. And then her taste really sucked.
I
So then I would go to parties.
think Michael Bublé was waiting for her time though.
Might have been.
You said Michael Bublé,
I
but
think I meant Michael Bolton.
yeah.
It might as well have been Michael Bublé. Might have been Jason Mraz or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was all stuff that it was all foreign stuff to my. I knew who these people were, but I didn't listen to them. And I actually knew their songs. And if she would have made a tape for me of or a CD of her favorite songs, I would have said, well, thank you for the Michael Bolton and the Barbara Streisand and stuff
Yeah.
like. Um, so so then I started to think about this, and I go to people's houses, go to girls' houses, go to girls' apartments and everything, and I see all this. Probably they all have all their taste in music sucks. They just did not have my taste in music, or didn't have a man's taste in music. We like Johnny Cash. we like we like tough guys singing.
Yeah.
And we like operatic
Yeah.
Pavarotti's. We like tough guys sing.
Yeah.
So anyway, um, so now, I mean, I'm sort of insufferable when I go to people's houses. I look at their CD collection, look at their book collection, see what books they read.
Yeah.
Books aren't a very good indication because a book, they may not have read the book. They may have just had the book to show everyone they have good taste. Oh
Yeah.
look, War and
Yeah.
Peace and Moby Dick. Oh, they must be
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
intelligent people.
Yeah.
James Joyce, Virginia Woolf.
Yeah.
The only difference is I've read those books. I didn't read War and Peace, but I've read the others, the ones in English.
Yeah.
So anyway, so so then I started thinking even further than that. It's not that their taste in music sucks, or all women's taste in music sucks. Everybody's taste in music sucks, but mine. How could everyone be wrong and only one guy is standing alone right? Now, what happens is, I mean, I'm being funny, but the truth is, you know two people have the same taste in music. or in anything really, comedy. That's why when I talk to people, I always ask them who their favorite singers are, what their favorite books they've read, their favorite authors, favorite comedians.
Yeah.
And you could, and if they whatever answer they give, I have a answer. Well, if you like him, I could suggest you listen to him, or that type of thing. So always remember that. Don't get too bent out of shape if somebody doesn't like your taste in music, because it's your taste in
Right.
music.
Right. Everybody has their own opinion.
I know, I know, and so that's what I have learned.
Yeah.
And be true to your ethics, and be on point with and as long as you show some sort of integrity. um, uh, I found out there was a time, I think in the early 2000s, that all these old time singers that were still alive at the time, Tony Bennett and that would sing old time music, were starting to get play on MTV, which was good. And they said, well, Tony Bennett doesn't try to sing young people's music. He goes, no, he sings what he's always sung. He sings with singers like, at the time, he was singing like with Lady Gaga and Amy Winehouse and stuff. So he showed that he thought they were, and Katie Lang. He thought they were good enough singers to sing with him, not him singing their songs. Let them sing their songs.
I have one album by Lady Gaga and Teddy
Yeah,
Bennett.
yeah. In fact, his last appearance on the stage, he sadly died soon after he had Alzheimer's. But he was able enough to sing some songs with Lady Gaga in, I think, Radio City Music Hall, and that was on CBS. That was a really good show. You can
Yeah.
probably catch it on YouTube. And these guys show, and there's all these old time singers that were. Tom Jones became popular again. Engelbert Humperdinck became popular again. Tom Jones is now hosting the America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
No, The Voice.
Voice.
The Voice in England. You could catch those versions of The Voice. Here it's I guess it's Adam Levine and and Gwen Stefani, but there it's Tom Jones is one of the guys, and then everyone likes Tom Jones, and he still can sing quite well. So they said if Bobby Darin was, and Bobby Darin got a lot of play, even though he died probably 25 years earlier. People suddenly realized, God, this man was so talented. If he were around today, he would be a big star. I mean, this was back in the early 2000s. He died young, sadly. But if he had a long career like Frank Sinatra or Tony Bennett, he would have been on top. He would have been at the top of the game at that point. And he was. He did quite well in his day. So Bobby Darin's like my all-time favorite singer. So.
Yeah.
And speaking of singers, I got some stuff here. Why don't you go through these? What do you want to talk about first? All right, surprise me. ZZ Top.
Yeah, I have the record at home.
Yeah, the ZZ Top.
I have a few actually.
Yeah, all their albums sound different, don't they?
Yeah.
No, ZZ Top is everyone likes ZZ Top. One of them died. You know which one died?
I forgot.
But there's three guys. Two of them have really long beards, and the guy that doesn't have a beard, his name is Mike Beard. It's weird. Weird. He has a weird beard. Now anyway, he's the weirdo because he doesn't have a beard.
Yeah.
But ZZ Top, I've never seen them in person. I like their music. I've never seen them in person, and I've always missed opportunities. I was either doing a play the night they were performing. One time, I actually went on a. They had during the summer they had a summer schedule, and I think every Thursday night there was a named singer, and I actually went to see ZZ Top that Thursday night, and they said no, they couldn't make it Thursday, so it was on Wednesday. I said, "Oh, you mean I'm a day late?" I was wondering why there was no cars in the parking lot. So they were here last night. It was a good show. I always miss them. I miss them at the state fair. I miss them everywhere. But and now that 1/3 of them are gone, it's hardly worth seeing them again. But I think they're still performing the same old songs and stuff. So, what do you like about ZZ Top? The videos made them big hits.
These are really good songs like
Yeah.
Legs and
Oh
Give
yeah.
me all your lovin', all of your kisses too.
Yeah.
And
Everyone likes
there's another song called Tush.
Push. Yeah.
It's by the 70s.
Yeah. You know, until I got this greatest hits album, I only know ZZ Top, singing their own songs. But they do sing one cover standard song on here, and they do a pretty good version of.
Legs. There's
No, I
something
mean
called
Legs.
Legs.
I don't know if Legs. I think Legs is their
Oh,
song.
Legs.
It's the song is called Viva Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, I mean their version of it. Yeah, they all sound like they all tend to sound like the Elvis version, but that's pretty good. Oh, we got fans here. All right, so ZZ Top. Have you ever seen ZZ Top perform
No, but on TV.
on TV? Yeah, I remember they appeared on the Johnny Carson show, and he introduced them wearing a beard, wearing a long like
Yeah.
grandfather beard.
Yeah.
And then what's the next one here?
I bought this album recently at a thrift store.
That's where I got it too. This is a chorus line.
Yeah.
At the time, A Chorus Line was the number one show on Broadway of all time. This is before Cats and before I think it surpassed Grease,
Yeah.
but it was the number one of all time.
Yeah.
We're in a nightclub now. I think we're at Chuck E. Cheese now.
Okay.
So anyway, tell me about A Chorus Line.
The first one was made back in the 70s.
It was made in the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually I haven't seen it, but I have the soundtrack. It's really good.
Oh, have you ever seen the movie?
No, I haven't.
The movie is very good.
But
The movie's not as good as the show.
the music's really good.
It's a very simple show. There's only like I guess 15 people, and they all stand. They're all being interviewed to be in the chorus line of an unnamed play. And there's an older woman, there's a young guy, there's a gay guy. There's all a cross section of people. And you never see the interviewer. You just hear his voice on the loudspeaker and asking them questions. And of course, they break in the
Yeah.
song here and there. But it's all written by Marvin Hamlish.
The music's really good in it.
Yeah, the most famous song is One Singular Sensation. Every little step she takes. That's the last song of the show, and then I think they bring it back as a curtain call. And it's very good. They're all dressed in like sweats and everything, but at the end of the show, they're all wearing like silver top hat and tails. It's pretty exciting with mirrors behind them, so it looks like there's about 20 people. Looks like there's about 40 people, when there's only like less than 20 people.
Yeah, I bought the album at a thrift store recently.
Yes,
It's really good. I enjoyed it.
the movie they do show who the guy is in the announcer actually is a part. It's Michael Douglas, who doesn't sing.
Oh,
Kirk Douglas's father, Kirk Douglas's son
okay, yeah,
from the
yeah,
streets of San
yeah. I
Francisco,
remember that.
from Basic Instinct and all his movies.
Yeah.
And so that's a chorus line. Marvin Hamlish wrote it. And I think sadly, I think the guy who kind of created the show, his name was Michael Bennett, died of AIDS at a time when I think he was the first big celebrity from Broadway to die of AIDS. A lot of gay. It was a gay plague in those days. They called it before it started affected everybody, and it ravaged Broadway after that. But Chorus Line is a great show, and Marvin Hamlish, who wrote The Way We Were, I mentioned The Way We Were. He wrote The Way We Were, and a lot of good stuff. So that's a Chorus Line. So if you ever get a chance to see the movie, or if it's playing, if your high school is doing it or something, it's a good show to see.
I bought the soundtrack. It's really good.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the
There you go.
soundtrack.
There you go.
Yeah.
And what's next?
Uh,
Okay, this is what's it called? What's the name of this?
Alanis Morrissette.
Alanis Morrissette, and what's the album's called?
Jack Little Pill.
Jagged Little Pill. I keep forgetting
I
the
was
name
in
of
high
this
school
thing.
when that
I know
came
it
out.
had pill in the title.
I was in high school when that came out.
This was a truly remarkable album when it came out. It had like the first three or four songs are just so powerful. I hate to say this, but I after those four songs, I haven't been too impressed with her since.
I want you to know that I have faith in
She's from Canada,
you. Yeah,
and she's very talented, though I must admit. And well, anyway, Alanis Morissette, she I could tell you some trivia about her. She was once in a movie called Dogma by Kevin Smith, and she plays God. And she doesn't say anything because the voice of God is too strong for your little ears. But I think at one point near the end, she just opens her mouth, and this big, like thunderstorm crash comes down. That's the voice of God. I need to. I think someone else was in the movie. I think Chris Rock says I have to interpret everything she says because it's too powerful. So it was good casting of Alanis Morrissette. Also, having a woman play God, you always
Yeah.
in the old stories, it's always a man with a long beard.
Yeah.
So anyway, Alanis Morissette, I think, has used that. She's now on a show called The Great North, and it's on Sunday nights on the Fox channel. It's a cartoon show, and Will Forte and Nick Offerman do voices on it. It's a very funny show about this family in Alaska, and the girl in it, I think, talks to God. But it's Alanis Morissette. It looks like it's like in the stars. It looks like Alanis Morissette, and it's Alanis Morissette's voice, real speaking voice. Yeah,
Back way before she started
yeah.
her singing career, she was in Double Dare. She was a
Oh, okay. Yeah,
contestant on
that's
Double
right.
Dare
That's right. She was on Double Dare.
years ago.
She also was she. I think she was on another show. Was she on that show with the Canadian show with all the kids on it? Gosh, I can't remember the show. I know that show. Do you? I'm gonna remember the name of the show right when the show is over. But it was a very funny kid show with Canadian kids on it. It was on the Nickelodeon. They used to slime people on it all the time. I
That's
remember that.
Double Dare.
Okay, Double Dare. Okay, that was the show. That's the show. Yeah, Double
Yeah, I
Dare.
used
That
to
had a
watch
different
that
name
all the
in
time. I used
Canada.
to
Yeah,
watch that all the time too.
yeah. And Alanis. Oh, this is a bit of trivia, and you might already know this, but she wrote a lot of these songs to get back at her ex-boyfriend, and everyone said, "What type of cretin was this ex-boyfriend of hers that she prompted this talented woman to write these terrible songs about him?" And it turns out, the man was
Who?
Dave Coulier.
Oh yeah.
Before either one of them were famous. I mean, she became famous as Rosa Songs, but I think at the time he was already famous as the uncle on Full House. Did all the imitations.
I remember watching her music videos.
Yes, and they were pretty.
Um,
They were something else, weren't they?
yeah, I thought she was actually on drugs or something when she went like this and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the people are. Yeah, they used to think I was on drugs all the time when I was growing up. My parents, anytime I think I said this once. My mom, my mom said, "Are you smoking crack? Are you taking cocaine? I goes, let me see your arms. I want to see if there's any needle tracks on your arms." And I said, "I don't know anything about drugs, but I do know you snort cocaine and you smoke crack. Uh, there won't be any needle marks on my arms if I'm as bad a drug user as you say I am. I'll be happy to blow my nose for you." Mom was, I guess, uh, my parents read the Reader's Digest a lot and all the. There was a show when I was a kid called Dragnet,
Oh yeah.
and with Jack Webb on it and Harry Morgan from MASH, and it was a really cool show about police work and everything. But the best episodes, and you can still catch them on YouTube and stuff, are the ones having to do with hippies and drugs. Because even though they say terrible things about hippies and drugs, they're still kind of cool because they were the only show that had any hippies and drugs on. By the way, I gotta tell you something. I was watching when I was a kid the Art Linkletter show. There was all these brats on there,
Yeah.
which they never. A friend of mine who was in Lynchburg. I mean, I met him years later. We were both adults, and I was from Hopewell, Virginia. And he's not too bad we were never on the Art Linkletter show. We would have wiped the floor clean with those bratty kids. We would have been witty. They would have given us our own TV show. We were like the Oscar Wilde of the of the kindergarten set. And he said, "You know why we weren't on that show? All those kids, if you notice, were from Beverly Hills or Santa Barbara or something. They weren't sending limousines to Television City in Hollywood from to they weren't sending limousines to Lynchburg and Hopewell, Virginia." We might have been wearing straw hats and overalls
Yeah.
for what they thought we were. So anyway,
Yeah.
what was the point I was going to make? Oh yeah, I was watching the Art Linkletter show, and he asked one kid, he goes, if you were the governor of California, they had just elected Ronald Reagan as their governor of California. He goes, if you were the governor of California, what would be the first thing you would do? And one kid says, I would throw out all the hippies. And he got like almost a standing ovation. And I'm like, I'm just a kid, but I said that's pretty harsh. Harsh. It's a pretty harsh punishment. I'm going to throw out all the hippies. I think we have a president now that would probably try do it on an even bigger scale. So, have we improved since? Not really. Anyway, thank you so much, Mary Elizabeth, for helping me celebrate my birthday.
No problem.
You,
My
this
pleasure.
is wonderful.
Yeah.
And thank you. You're my of all the shows I appear on. This is one of them.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, thank you all for tuning in. May God bless you. Take care.